Hello my friends and welcome once more to this Red Gaming Tech video with myself, Marta, where as always I'm here with the latest news from the tech world from the last 24 or so hours as of the 29th of April. So we've got quite a bit to get through today, but we're going to begin things with a couple of interesting pieces of AMD, first of which is regarding their CPU sales. So essentially this news comes to us thanks to AMD posting their Q1 2020 revenue, and it has a lot of interesting things to say. According to their financial report, Lisa Su revealed that AMD have been continuing to just slowly take away that market share from Intel. This has been happening for quite some time, of course, and according to their financial report, this has been happening for 10 quarters in a row, or 30 months, and they have now said that AMD has, quote, more than 50% of premium processor sales at many top global e-tailers. And their overall revenue for the first quarter of this year was 1.79 billion. Now that is up 40% compared to the same period last year. It is a bit down from the last quarter, but unsurprisingly the company are citing the current things that are happening in the world as the reason, which is totally fair. And she went on to say, quote, PC demand in the rest of the world was strong, offsetting the softness in China. Client processor revenue grew significantly year over year as strong Ryzen processor demand resulted in significant double-digit percentage increases in unit shipments and ASP. As a result, we believe we gained client unit market share for the 10th straight quarter. So she went on to say that both Ryzen 3000 and 2000 chips were still doing their thing, going strong, going on an absolute tear, and once again they do claim that they make 50% of the premium CPU sales. Also, the Ryzen Mobile 4000 line of chips is doing pretty well in the laptop segment as well. So what about the future, I hear you ask? Well, they did touch on that a little bit, obviously. They did say that they are expecting weaker demand in the second half of 2020, but they are still projecting a yearly revenue growth. So, interesting stuff from AMD. I have talked a lot about AMD have just been taking away that market share from Intel, piecemeal by piecemeal, sure, or in bigger chunks at times, and obviously it's paying dividends for sure. But that's not the only AMD thing I have for you today. We have a very interesting confirmation that also happened in this financial call regarding Zen 3 and RDNA 2. And there was a tweet by the AMD News Twitter, which is an official verified Twitter account, as you can see on screen, and it says, quote, AMD on track to launch next-gen Zen 3 CPUs and RDNA 2 GPUs in late 2020. So basically this is a confirmation that we are definitely going to be seeing both of these things in the sort of second half, or later part, should I say, of this year. Now obviously that does make sense because obviously RDNA 2 does find its home in both the PS5 and Xbox Series X next-gen consoles, so it also makes sense that we would see RDNA 2 come out in other forms later on this year, although of course both the consoles do use a custom design from the company. But we're going to move on now from AMD to their other arch nemesis, Nvidia, as we have something regarding Ampere. Now I have to say, this topic is a bit of a strange one, and I'll explain why. Basically, the original story is that there are rumours going around regarding the RTX 3000 series launch, obviously also known as Ampere, from Nvidia. Now the reason it's strange is because the rumours are based on a report from China Times. Now that has since been taken down, but the China Times article was referencing a tweet from the retired engineer, and the tweet itself has also been taken down. Now the retired engineer is usually a pretty reliable source, so the fact that he's removed the tweet raises several questions. Did the source perhaps ask him to take it down? Perhaps they didn't want this information to be shared? Was he actually unsure about the information? Did he realise it was incorrect? It's tough to say, of course. Unfortunately, due to the time difference, we can't really ask him because he's most likely going to be asleep. Paul is going to message him on Twitter, but I'm not expecting a reply for several hours. Probably not until the middle of the night, our time, to be honest. So just before I say anything about the actual details of anything, take everything I'm about to say with a humongous chunk of salt, because it's just very strange how all the sources have been taken down over this. Anyway, so the initial report from China Times basically stated that Nvidia are getting ready to launch their RTX 3000 series of graphics cards based on Ampere sometime in the third quarter of this year. Now, when are we going to be seeing it? I would put decent money on it being September or October, just due to everything that's going on. We are pretty much expecting, or most companies are expecting, should I say, the current world situation to be under control by then. So that's a reasonable guesstimate, but obviously that is just a guesstimate. Now, they also go on to say that apparently, according to their sources, AIBs have already started clearing inventory of the older models, the touring models, to make room for the upcoming RTX 3000 series. So we can expect some price cuts to be en route soon if that's the case. So if you have been waiting for the touring line of cards to drop in price, just hold on to your horses a little longer, because we undoubtedly will see price reductions either shortly before or after the reveal date. Now, I'm going to read a small excerpt of the China Times article, which again has been taken down. This was helpfully posted by wccftech.com. They said, quote, "After Nvidia confirmed that the delayed GTC 2020 themed speech will be held in mid-May, the graphics card market has heard that as soon as the second quarter of the third quarter, at least 3 new generations of Ampere architecture GPUs will be introduced, which replace the previous generation high-end graphics card series. The first wave of new products are expected to be listed before the end of the third quarter until the first quarter of next year. There are new products in the quarter after quarter." So we can take something very interesting from that small excerpt. So obviously we could expect the launch to begin, at least allegedly, in Q3 of this year. But according to this report, we're going to be seeing at least 3 tiers of graphics cards, most likely the 3080 Ti, 3080 and 3070. But they're most likely going to be staggered, with at least one launch per quarter until the first quarter of 2021. Now, obviously, this is similar to what they did with touring. We did see the high-end graphics cards come out first, and obviously they kind of drip-fed the lower-end ones over a fairly long period of time, especially if you count like the Super Series and cards like the 1650 and so on. But that's not the only rumour we have about this. There's also some alleged specifications. Now, this is part of what the retired engineer actually tweeted. Now, this is the part that you really, really need to keep your skepticism hat screwed on tightly, because these specs are pretty nuts, especially for the 3080 Ti. I'm just going to very quickly go over them, and you can make your own judgments pretty much. Anyway, so let's go down the stack from the top, shall we? 3080 Ti, and remember, all rumours, all alleged. GPU cores, 8,192, 256 RT cores, 1,024 tensor cores, 1750 MHz boost clock, 16 Gbps VRAM speed across the stack, and 2020 Q4 release. For the 3080, we see 4,608 GPU cores, 144 RT cores, 576 tensor cores, and a 2,000 MHz boost clock. Q3 release date for that. For the 3070, we do see 3,584 GPU cores, 112 RT, and 448 tensor cores, 1,900 boost clock, megahertz obviously. And for the 3060, we see here as well, we see 2,560 GPU cores, 80 RT cores, 320 tensor cores, and 2,000 megahertz boost clock once again. And that is a 2021 Q1 release. So the main thing that should have raised your eyebrow immediately is the amount of GPU cores in the 3080 Ti. 8,192. That is extremely high. So just be skeptical about this one. As soon as we have an update from the retired engineer as to why he deleted the tweet, we will update you guys most likely in a following video, probably tomorrow. But regardless, let's move on to the next topic, shall we? Which is something regarding Bloodborne. And no, do not get your hopes up. This isn't rumours of a sequel or anything like that. Let's stop there right now. What it is, however, is a mod thanks to the Australian modder Lance McDonald. And he's uncovered plenty of juicy stuff, but he's also found a way to patch the game to run at 60 frames per second on the PS4 Pro. So obviously if you have a vanilla PS4, no bueno unfortunately, and he does have some caveats to this. He said, quote, I did it, Bloodborne running with 60 FPS frame cap, no VSync, so lots of screen tearing, with proper frame timing and game logic timing. This is running on a base PS4 Pro. We'll try to get an actual FPS counter to display tomorrow and test on PS4 Pro with boost mode. Now the caveats at first that I just mentioned were the fact that the game did not have proper timing and the game was basically running in fast forward. Obviously he eventually did fix that later on that day, and does seem to be running rather nicely. Now obviously this is a mod, and I'm not sure what's going to happen if you play online with this mod or anything like that, but it does look really cool. I have always wanted the game to get a proper 60 FPS version. I did hope that when it came out in the Pro it would get some sort of patch, but obviously it never did. And obviously I think it'll be a cold day in hell before this game comes out on PC, although I hope I'm wrong. I would rather be wrong on that particular one, to be honest. So you can find his tweet linked below. Now, he did say that it does run better at 720p rather than 1080p, but personally, I think that's worth it. I've said before that I'd rather downgrade in resolution and have a better frame rate. Obviously, it's better to have both, don't get me wrong, but still, I just thought I'd cover this because it's pretty cool, but again, you can find his tweet in the description. So we're going to move over now to the PlayStation 5 console itself. Now obviously we've heard a lot of rumours as to what's going to be happening with the Microsoft reveal of the Xbox Series X. Obviously we have already seen some of the console, but we don't know a lot about it, like the price, release date, and obviously we don't really know anything about the games that are coming out for the machine. But what about the PlayStation 5? Well, a VentureBeat reporter by the name of Jeff Grubb has posted on the Reset Era forums, basically claiming that the PS5 reveal date is currently planned for June the 4th. Now the previous rumours were that we're going to be seeing it in May, but obviously they have had to move some game releases around due to what's going on. For example, The Last of Us 2 was moved to June, and the Ghost of Tsushima was moved to July. So it wouldn't really surprise me if this was pushed forward a few weeks just to give them extra time to make sure everything's in place. So obviously that does mean it's ages away, but it would have been around the time we would have seen things anyway if they had been at E3, which obviously they were never going to be, even if E3 would actually have gone ahead this year. I would prefer it to be sooner, of course, but this is just a rumour. It could come out tomorrow for all I know, but this does kind of line up with what we previously heard and does kind of make sense, but obviously do take this with a massive pinch of salt. So that's pretty much me done for this video. I just want to mention a couple of very quick things. The first of which is there is currently ongoing, as I record, a Ubisoft live stream that is basically the reveal of the next, well, a tease, should I say, of the next Assassin's Creed game, but it's basically like a live stream of the artist working on the reveal art for the game. Now, it's not confirmed at the time of recording, but I will be shocked if it's not Vikings because, well, there's literally longboats in the image that I have been sent from a little way back in the stream at the moment. All you can really see is a lovely castle being worked on. Doesn't really tell you much, and some people fighting, which could literally be from any time. Anyway, so yeah, it looks like it's going to be Vikings. I don't know how much I care. I mean, I love Viking mythology, Norse mythology. All that stuff is really interesting to me, and I'd love a Vikings themed game. But at the same time, Assassin's Creed is not really Assassin's Creed anymore. It's just kind of like another RPG, which is fine, but that's not really what I enjoyed about the games back in the day. So we'll see. Not counting it out just yet. Oh, and also there's rumours that we will be seeing Apex Legends on both PS5 and Xbox Series X, as there is a new job listing from Respawn, which does hint at this being the case, and this would kind of make sense, to be honest. Anyway, that is me done for this video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, your support is highly appreciated, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.